When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin versus the world. I'm SeptumSin. Well, we're going to be doing our pickups a little bit differently this time around, mainly because we've had a nasty storm. Kotobuki Jake is at his house, I am at mine. We're going to be doing them in separate videos and splicing them together. So, we've talked about it, and we should know what each other have. And so I'm going to go ahead and begin. I have Evil Dead, the remake. I finally went ahead and got this. People keep saying, oh, well, I really love this one. This is my favorite one. The only thing that I remember out of it is that it made it rain blood at the end. Now that is special. Isn't that special? In any case, on to you.
Greetings, I am Kotobuki Jake. I'm here in my own pseudo studio, if you will. Hopefully Septum gave you a pretty good intro for the week. As he probably mentioned, we unfortunately couldn't get together because tornadoes. You cannot mess too much with Mother Nature, you know. And, you know, it's kind of funny. All these people were freaking out about we were going to have flooding, and we did have some flooding in this area, but everyone, for some reason, was expecting whatever it to hit last Thursday, and I'm like, no, that's when it hit the Carolinas. We're in Virginia. And I kept saying, you know, the storm is supposed to twist back around and go up the mountains. But I didn't expect hardcore tornadoes. This is probably the worst tornado weather I've ever lived through that I can remember, at least. I could be wrong, but that's probably the worst scare I can remember. But it really messed with work, and it really messed with our viewing. And partly because of that, when I had to leave work, I had to leave work. And I thought it was still pouring down rain. It was still raining, but I thought it was still pouring down rain. So I left everything at work. I didn't want to carry because I had some really cool stuff. I had a pickups I was excited about. So I'm doing it from the house with stuff that was still here at the house. I got some good stuff this week, but it's not as exciting. Next week, though, look forward to cool stuff. But anyway, Septum hopefully led off and gave his first intro. We did decide how we were going to do it, but, you know, my memory is not what it should be. So assuming he went first and did his first intro, I'm going to go ahead and respond to what he does, and then do mine. And so, Evil Dead remake. I think I saw the tail end of that. Didn't Bruce Campbell have a cameo in that? I don't remember, but I don't have much desire to see it, but one of these days. Anyway, my first one is a movie that I've had some interest in for some time, but not really a huge amount of interest, but I've heard good things about it, and I got it dirt cheap. This was a library pickup. I think it was $1, might have been $2, but I think it was $1. And this is the movie Arlington Road. With Jeff Bridges, Tim Robbins, Joan Cusack, Hope Davis. You know, pretty good cast. Stupid tagline. Of course your paranoia is real. Doesn't matter if what you're paranoid about is real or not. If you're paranoid, it's real. But anyway, this is a paranoid conspiracy thriller. Jeff Bridges basically plays he's a Fed. He's an FBI agent whose wife is killed, and he becomes obsessed with right-wing revolutionary terrorist groups, you know, and his new neighbors, played by Tim Robbins and Joan Cusack, he thinks something's not quite right about them. I'm looking forward to this. I've heard good things about it. I'm not like in a hurry to see it, but I'm looking forward to it. All right, Septum?
I need to see Arlington Road. It's a classic. At least I think it's a classic. No, I know it's a classic. I definitely need to see Arlington Road. It is one of those that I do have an interest in one of these days. My next one here is Bobcat Goldthwait's classic, God Bless America. You ever get those people who talk loud in movies? You ever wish you could gun them down? Well, not really. Well, what do you think? Alright, well, any case, I really liked this. I thought it was hilarious. Kotobuki Jake, what do you think?
Alright, so you got God Bless America, huh? God Bless America. I gotta admit, from what I've seen, that looks pretty good. I'm not the fan that Septum is of Bobcat Goldthwait, but the idea that he wrote and directed a dark, satirical thriller about people picking off the scum of society, it sounds good. It sounds good. I do want to see that one. My next one is one that got less than glowing praise upon its release, but it's one that I always wanted to see. When this came out, I was a big fan of Sean Connery, and I believed that Catherine Zeta-Jones was just about the hottest person out there. And this is called Entrapment. And basically, Connery plays a master thief who is believed to have stolen a priceless Rembrandt. And Zeta-Jones plays an insurance investigator who attempts to perhaps entrap him by getting him involved in yet another scheme. I've never seen this. I've heard mixed things, but I've always kind of wanted to see it. It's always been in the back of my mind as one I'll get to one of these days. And when I got it dirt cheap again. I think it was a library pickup. Honestly, some of the stuff today I've had for a minute, and I've forgotten exactly when and where, but I think that's what this was. It looks good-ish. It looks like it's at least worth $1. I'm very much wanting to see it, and yeah, so I'll look forward to that one.
Well, Entrapment is one that I haven't really had an interest in seeing. There's a lot of Sean Connery movies that I'm not as interested in as I probably should be. But, still, curious. Very curious. Alright. So, I've got here a movie called Killer Campout. I got a whole bunch of these from Fuzzy Monkey Studios after I got Die You Zombie Bastards. So I've been interested in some of these. You know me, I love B-movies. This is a B-movie. Love them.
So, Killer Campout, huh? Not sure I have much to say on that. To each his own, as it were. But anyway, the next one I have is my lone Blu-ray of the week. And it's actually, this was also a library pickup, and I think it was $1. But it's actually a movie I saw in theaters. And one of the very few movies directed by Clint Eastwood that I saw in theaters. And quite enjoyed it. It's a movie called Space Cowboys. And it's Clint Eastwood, Tommy Lee Jones, Donald Sutherland, and James Garner. I mean, you can't go but too wrong with that cast. I mean, that cast. Marcia Gay Harden, William Devane, Courtney B. Vance, James Cromwell. That is a good cast. and directed by Clint Eastwood. And most people probably are aware by now that it seems to be, I would say, almost general consensus that Eastwood is a extremely talented director, probably as good or better than he ever was as an actor, and he's a pretty good actor. This was kind of at the early part of his. He was becoming better known as a director, but not really. This came out, I think, the year after Entrapment did, and I think it was like 4 years after the Midnight. Oh no, wait. Didn't he direct Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil? I think he did, but I know he did Bridges of Madison County. So those were kind of the ones that really kind of woke people up to. He can not only direct, but he doesn't always have to direct westerns. This one has a little bit of a western feel to it. I mean, it's called Space Cowboys, but it's really, it's a space program about a bunch of geezers who get a chance to go back into space. It's a good movie. I liked it. I'm glad I got it. And like I said, I'm glad I got it cheap. And I look forward to seeing it again. I haven't seen this since it was in theaters, so it'd be nice to revisit.
Well, I really do want to see Space Cowboys. My father used to love that film. I am going to watch it one of these days, just not today. But I do plan on getting it eventually. So maybe I can watch it sometime. Maybe I'll borrow your copy. Provided you watch yours first. Alright. So, up here is Omnibus of Blood. This one doesn't have an IMDb. I think it's just because it's a bunch of like mini films. And it's got some interesting stuff. It's a collection of short films from the Fuzzy Monkey Studios. Prepare to be soaked in blood. I think this one actually came, one of these came free. It might be this one. This one, though, looks fun. Can't wait. Love B movies. On to you.
Now, I do have to admit, I'm not really that keen on seeing this Omnibus of Blood thing. I know some people are probably thrilled to see it. Looks like it's probably going to have some stuff I'd have trouble with, but good title, Omnibus of Blood. My next one, which, title-wise kind of could go with it. This is a movie that I have seen, I believe, once. I very much enjoyed it when I did see it. It's a modernized adaptation of The Bard of William Shakespeare. Specifically, it's an adaptation of his play, The Taming of the Shrew. And it's called 10 Things I Hate About You. This was one of the movies that put Heath Ledger on the map. This was one of his early big roles, but not just him. Julia Stiles, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Larry Miller, Andrew Keegan, David Krumholtz. I have so many David Krumholtz movies without even trying. But this is basically a modernized and slightly more comedic take on one of the Bard's dark comedies, if you will. Basically, what is the famous line? How do I loathe you? Let me count the ways. I think was the, the original Ranma Nakane. But I actually, when I took Shakespeare, I had a Shakespeare professor who loathed the updated Romeo and Juliet by Baz Luhrmann. And he was generally skeptical of any updated Shakespeare. I seem to recall he liked this one a bit, but I could be remembering that wrong. I cannot think of these without thinking about how much he hated that Romeo and Juliet. I kind of find that amusing in a way. From what I remember, this was a perfectly decent teen romantic comedy that works just fine, even if you've never heard of Shakespeare. I have not seen it in a while. It's got to have been at least 15 years. It's been a minute. So I look forward to seeing it again. This is one of those ones that I wanted for a long, long, long time to add to the collection. And it just somehow never materialized. I think it was one of the ones I kept thinking I did that I already had. Even now, in the back of my mind, I'm not... But now I know for sure that I do.
Gotta say, I enjoy 10 Things I Hate About You. It is an enjoyable film. I haven't watched it in a long time. Can't wait to watch it again. I know I've got it in the collection somewhere. If I don't have it, I know the wife has it. So we'll have to sit down and watch that sometime. This last one will surprise you. And that is a book. Book! I hit people with it. Okay. But actually, this is the Magic Book of Spells, which is the second book that they've released for the Star versus the Forces of Evil series. And again, more lore, more stuff. It is written on a child's level because the series is mostly for a younger audience. But I just love the show. I love learning about it. I love taking a look, and you've got some of the art here. I'm just going to enjoy flipping through it, taking a look, and just in general enjoying more about the series that I love so much. Now I can put it up on my bookshelf. I do have a bookshelf, and I do read books, just very, very slowly. Alright, on to you.
Alright, for my last little segment... So, you got an actual book, huh? I'm proud of you, Septum. Even if it is from Star versus the Forces of Evil. Not to knock it. Star versus is a fun show. I like it. I'm not as into it as he is, but you know, I like it. And at any rate, we'll go ahead and do my last presentation. This was also a fun animated series. And this is one that I already owned parts 1 and 2 right here. Right here. But now I also own parts 3 and 4 of American Dad. Seth MacFarlane's series. This was the one that he put out. He did basically 2 major series, or maybe another one, I've lost track. But he did 2 series directly tied to the world of Family Guy. This one's very indirect. Like, the Cleveland Show was a direct spinoff. And I'll be honest, I don't really care for the Cleveland Show. I didn't fully get into it. And I have not followed any of them through the last few years. I've been kind of drawn back. There was a time where everything he did I thought was just flippin' hilarious. And I have become a bit less of a fan of some of the things that I did find amusing at first. Quagmire, for example. Dude is disturbing, but for whatever reason I used to be amused by him. But basically, American Dad is, in my mind, based on what I have seen, American Dad is the better show. It's more, I wouldn't really say any of them are plot driven, but Family Guy, I'm not as big a fan of South Park either, but the South Park episode where they explain Family Guy's writing, I gotta give Messrs. Parker and Stone props for that. The manatees with the beach balls that have words on them, and that's how they come up with the non sequiturs. But Family Guy got drowned in non sequiturs. The first part of the show, before it was canceled the first time, was mostly brilliant. Some of the non sequiturs didn't work. Some of them were a little too random. But after it came back from cancellation, they just did so many of them. So many. They just got diluted to the point where there was no point. You know, some of them are still hilarious, but there's so many of them. American Dad does that occasionally, but it doesn't rely on it. It relies more on situational humor. It relies more on the actual what's happening in that episode to tell the jokes. At least, again, based on what I've seen of the show. And not only that, I do think that, well, let's be honest. I also like Patrick Stewart as Director Avery. He's pretty wrong in that series, but in a good way. So yeah, American Dad's not perfect. None of the Seth MacFarlane shows are perfect, but it is probably my favorite of the bunch, and I am glad to finally move forward a little bit with a little bit more of the show. Since I stopped taking down all of the individual episode credits, it's not as big a deal for me to collect these shows as it used to be, because the cast credits are pretty phenomenal, and that's pretty awesome. You know, when I was all about the credits, I was definitely collecting them more, but they're still fun, and I will one of these days get to watching these two parts and getting them filed into my collection. It's probably going to be a minute, because right now I'm crawling my way through 30 Rock, and I just started Cat's Eye, so those are two really long DVD shows. So it's going to be a minute, but one of these days. But, so anyway, that's my haul for the week. And I think it's pretty fun, pretty good. Like I said, I had some pretty badass stuff ready to go that I had to leave at work, but you got something to look forward to next week. So, I guess I'll go ahead and say, like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. I do hope you enjoyed our Frankenstein video this week. And we'll be hopefully back to normal next week. So, Septum?
I really liked what I saw of American Dad. I mean, it was really fun. It's a long series, much like Family Guy, so I haven't gotten a chance to get all that into it, but I'm hoping to in the near future. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this run-through today, and we will hopefully see you together next week on the next one. Goodbye.